Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I am super excited about this week's guest. I'm joined today by Rachel Fusaro. Rachel, I was telling her this story off air. One of my favorite ways of discovering guests for this podcast is organically and just consuming content on YouTube. As those of you who have listened to the show for a long time know, I just recently became a parent of two wonderful baby golden retriever puppies, and I did a ton of research on YouTube on how to train them and how to basically be a better doggy daddy and family, right? And Rachel's content kept coming up at the top of my feed, and I believe she's one of the most recommended channels on my home feed right now because of how much doggy content that I'm consuming. But Rachel has amassed, as of the recording of this podcast, over 450,000 subscribers, 725 videos, and she is one of the go-to training YouTube channels out there for doggy moms and dads. So if you're looking for a place to go and you're thinking about getting a dog, I'm sure you will see some of her stuff. She says she helps humans feed and train their dogs better, where curious pet owners get informed, and she shares actionable pet health and training tips for the everyday pet parent. Rachel, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. And I just have to say, I think it's funny listening to people and interesting and a bit controversial listening to people and how they describe themselves, because you might not know this, but me being in the pet field, calling ourselves pet parents can sometimes be controversial
Uh-oh.
to a dog daddy or pet guardian or even ownership. So I love hearing how people describe themselves,
That's
because
awesome.
I often do polls of like, what do you call yourself? I have no preference, but I love that. But yes,
That
I'm excited to be here.
That is amazing. I am just so impressed. And when I was watching your videos, I was so impressed with how you handled yourself, how the videos were informational, but yet they told a story. I got to know the dogs that you were featuring in the videos. And so not only were you teaching me how to crate train my two crazy puppies that I was about to bring into my household, but you also were introducing me to your dog and your family and the ways that you did it. And you never once in the video said, this is the only way of doing this. You said, this is the way that I do it, and this is the way that I recommend you do it because it's worked for me in the past. So obviously you are now in the upper threshold of YouTube, right? Just in general, as far as, 450, almost 500,000 subscribers. You should reach that mark by the end of this year, if not early next year. Can you let us know the origin story of the channel? How did this whole thing come to be?
Yeah, it's a great question because, I think I told you this when we first started, that I was watching your content back before I started YouTube to learn how I could create something with YouTube. But what's interesting is I started just sharing my rescue foster dogs stories, because I was fostering rescue dogs back to back to back. And I was finding that if I showed pictures of them, they were getting adopted faster by more qualified families. Fast forward, I realized I should create little videos of them. And I think I knew that I had something when it was one of the largest rescues in Texas for Labradors. And they came to me and they said, Rachel, we now have a waiting list of people who only want to adopt a Rachel Fusaro foster dog
Hmm?
from your videos.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, that's interesting. So I started out literally just wanting to share the stories of my foster dogs, and no idea that it would grow into what it is today. And now I currently share more about some foster rescue work, but also my background is in nutrition science. So my bachelor's degree is in nutrition. And I also have fostered so many dogs. So I've learned how to train the most challenging dogs out there. And over time, people on my channel started asking less about the foster dog and more of, Rachel, we see this dog come in week one, and by week two, week three, week four, this dog seems transformed, both from a training and health standpoint. What food did you feed your dog?
Hmm.
How did you train them how did you potty train them? How did you crate train them? How are you dealing with that reactivity? And so it organically evolved to being more of a recommendation channel. I call it kind of edutainment, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to say, I love that you pointed out something that's very important to me, which is I try to never be polarizing and saying, this is the only way to feed, or this is the only way to train your dog. What I do with my content and what I try to do is just share what has worked for me so that you, as the pet parent, can be informed based off of what has worked or what hasn't worked for me. Because I think that no matter what we're doing with our pets, whether we're training or feeding them, every dog is different. And I want to empower people with information instead of saying, this is what you need to do. And that, I think, has built a really intimate and engaged community.
Did you have any experience with video creation or content creation before the channel, or is this something that you've learned along the way?
A zero previous experience. I taught myself to edit. I taught myself to try and script, though I don't do a lot of it. I don't follow many of the best practices out there because I find that I do better when I'm just turn the camera on and just film what I know and film what I love talking about. And that's why I've been doing this for over 5 years now, and I'm not tired of it. In fact, I'm more excited about it today than I've ever been. But yeah, I just taught myself everything through YouTube.
That's how you know you're in the right niche or the right space, when you're 700 plus videos in and you're still passionate about what you're doing. That's why I tell early creators, make sure, you've got a list of 100 video ideas and you look at that list and you think, oh, I'm ready to go. And you just want to make sure that when you get years into the process, you're not going to want to change your space or what you're covering on YouTube, because that can be a very difficult thing. I just want to be completely honest with you today, because you are a very large YouTuber now. I know you may not consider yourself that. I do, and the people listening who hear your numbers certainly will as well. What do you think has attributed to your success? And I want to add a back end part of that question. YouTube success doesn't happen overnight. And can you maybe help me demystify that, right? As far as, you've grinded out 725 videos up to this point. And yes, you have almost 500,000 subscribers, but it didn't happen all overnight. Can you just maybe touch on those points?
I feel like where there's a connection there because that was the next thing on my mind. I think the most interesting and exciting part of my journey is it has never been fast. I have never blown up. I have never posted a video and had it blow up on the next day. I've never really had viral moments. I've had a couple videos that have hit close to or over 1 million, but the video was live for like 30 days or several months before it actually took off. And so for me, it's been an interesting journey in that it really has been a grind. But I think what has worked for me is staying authentic to who I am, which I know we hear a lot of people say, but I think it's important. I literally just talk about what I love, what I know, and I share it. I think in terms of more tactical tips that have worked for me, consistency. Now, I still struggle with consistency, but as you've seen by the number of videos and only around 5 or so years of actually posting, I'm pretty consistent with my posting. I try not to let myself get down when videos don't do great right away, because most of my higher performing videos didn't do great in the first month or 2 months or 3 months, which can be discouraging. But I find that when I go back after a video's been live for 24, 48 hours and tweak the thumbnail, tweak the title, that really helps. So consistency's worked for me. Talking about what I love, I think comes off very genuine. And I hear this all the time, but not worrying about camera quality. My most viewed video, I wouldn't say I'm embarrassed by it, but the quality is really not great. It's grainy. It's in terms of video and lighting, but the content is there. So I still believe to this day, content is king, period. And then I think what else has really worked for me is not being afraid of trying different things. Like I said, I started off really heavy into promoting fostering rescue dogs and rescue work. And then I really stayed engaged and paid attention to my audience, and the questions that they were asking moved my content to a different direction, still within something I love and am passionate about. And so I think being comfortable to kind of evolve with that, I think is also really helpful.
You mentioned at the top of the episode about considering your content edutainment, which oftentimes I do as well. I do tutorials on technology, Some of your most popular videos are videos you've done a couple of years ago where they're what I call tentpole content. People get tired of hearing me throw around the term evergreen, but hearing you mention, some of your most popular videos didn't even take off for a month or two. I've had videos that have been stagnant for 3 to 6 months, and then month 7, they just the algorithm just shoots them up, or they get discovered in Google search. Your most popular video is how to potty train your puppy fast. 10-week-old puppy trained in 1 week. Obviously, the title is there. The thumbnail is adorable. It pops out. And some of your other most popular videos are first days with a new puppy, first night with a new puppy, truth about potty pads. It's these very much educational type videos that are going to continue to work for you forever. And what I mean by that is that, the information that you're giving there about potty training the puppy will not change. I mean, these tips and tactics will continue to work. Now, obviously, there'll be things that come and go and fads and things like that, but overall, that's a video that's going to perform well for you. Can you talk about how you sprinkle in these tentpole type contents, these very simple of, how to crate train your dog, how to potty train your dog? These are simple yet very effective and very high performing videos for you.
Yes, I'm again glad you brought that up. You know how to
Mhm.
navigate these conversations well, because I did forget to mention that probably the number one reason for or top reason for my success is that I do search based.
Yeah.
And that has worked for me. I learned that early on about SEO and figuring out what is my audience looking for and what are similar topics that they're looking for. Like um, when I was showing these rescue foster dogs early in the beginning, people were asking me questions like, how did you, potty train? How'd you potty train so quickly? And I was thinking, okay, if they're asking about potty training, they probably also want to know about crate training. And if they want to know about crate training, they probably also want to know about leash training. And if they're training a puppy, they probably also have questions about food. So I started thinking about similar
Mhm.
tangential topics that would also play off of those. So search has been a really, really, really big. I think if I look at my analytics, majority of it is coming from search, which is interesting because I think a lot of strategists will say that we need to be on the browse page and recommended, which I think is all important. That's how things have taken off for me. But the reason I've had this pretty consistent success is search based.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think that, everyone needs to do what works best for their channel. There is
Right.
no, one size fits all advice that I can give you. So as far as, some people need to focus on search and some
Right.
people need to focus on building a community, which I think you've done, which I think is unique for your channel. You've built a dog loving community that is very supportive of you, and you've built the brand
Right.
around you and the work and the training that you do. But on the other side of that, you're also optimizing search. So I want to ask you kind of a follow-up question. What are some tips or some pointers you can give my audience in regards to optimizing their videos for search? Because regardless of if you're trying to show up on the watch page or the search, whatever, you want your videos to show up higher in search. That's going to be helpful regardless of what you're trying to accomplish. So what are some things you've learned along the past 5 years in regards to SEO and relate that to YouTube?
So it's actually pretty simple, which was exciting for me in that when I thought of a video topic, which typically comes from the community and questions, I would just Google search that and look at the top results and figure out what were the most trending, most clicked items on a Google search. Also doing that when you scroll to the very bottom of the page, Google's now changed a little bit, but when you scroll to the bottom of the page after searching a topic, whether it be how to crate train, what's the best dog food, what are the best dog treats, it'll give you other similar terms that people are also searching. And then I don't have a personal favorite, but I have trialed SEO tools where you can put
Mhm.
in topics or keywords and it'll give you search terms and different outputs of things that you can search. So for me, it was starting with what my audience wanted and also knowing general basics of dog training and what we feed our dogs, knowing what kind of similar topics would be, and then doing a little bit of Google search on them. I also use, and to be honest, I don't know that it's made a huge difference, but it's become part of my practice is using a tool like TubeBuddy,
Hmm.
or there's another one. I've used both back and forth where it'll look at my video and it'll give me suggested keywords. And so
Yes.
that has helped. And then, of course, I look at uh, other creators on YouTube and I search whatever the video topic is and see what other titles there are and try to figure out how I can make something similar in my own words and better.
When it comes to SEO, it's really about kind of trial and error. You got to kind of see what works, what thumbnails perform, what improves your CTR. That SEO on YouTube is different than Google, and there are some similarities there, but it's very nice to kind of learn. And there's a lot of education out there on YouTube when it comes to that. I want to ask you now about your process of recording your videos. What does that look like? Can you walk us through start to finish from conception all the way to publish?
Yes. And it's awful. So don't do as I say, don't do as I do, do as I say. But I'm not the I actually just made my first hire. She's working 20 hours a week and she's helping me organize my chaotic mind and ideas. But the general process for me is I have an idea. I have a backlog at this point, a backlog of endless ideas. And I track those either in my notes app on my phone, or I'll use a project tool like Asana or Trello. They all have free options. And I will do some SEO research. It's probably the first thing I'll do and see how much is this item searched and are there gaps. When I was searching for crate training, I found that there were definitely some gaps because at the time, a lot of the crate training videos were very uh, low production, which isn't necessarily a bad idea, but I was like, or bad thing, but I was like, well, how can I make it a little bit more storytelling and less of this is step one, this is step two, this is step three. So I figure out the idea. I don't do a ton of scripting, and that's something I do recommend many people do, but I will spend a good amount of time on my intro and really captivating the audience. One thing I heard some guru say a long time ago was to give value up front. And so I don't do intros. I try not to, the intro is like very, very important. So that's something I do script out. I want it to be value and I want it to be eye catching. And then I want to say something very early on that keeps them engaged. Like, here's a quick tip that works. I'm going to give my full explanation of why later in the video. So stay tuned or something like that. From there, I set up my camera and I film. I may write down some bullet points of the things that I want to follow. And I may even do a little bit of research of what other people have done in this space to get some ideas. But I found early on that if I researched too many other people's similar videos, I would find myself doing more of what they're doing unintentionally. So I try to actually avoid that a little bit. And then I literally turn the camera on and film. Lighting is something I've always struggled with because everywhere, even right now, like there's just poor lighting in the houses I've been in. So I make sure lighting is good, and then I edit and publish. So it's really kind of generic and not super organized, but I guess it's worked for me so far.
Now, you mentioned to me off air that you were able to, step away from your 9 to 5 or your
Yes,
full-time job, which congratulations, by the way. That's
thank
something
you.
that a lot of us strive for. And when you get there, it's exciting yet nerve-wracking,
Very.
very scary. Me having a family, I was, married for a few years at the time. We had our first baby on the way. So it was very nerve-wracking, but so thankful that I took that step and understanding kind of where you need to be. Before we start talking about monetization and how you're making money with your brand and your business on YouTube, I want to talk about, how did you know it was the right time? What were some conversations being had by you and your family or whatever it may be? When did you decide to take that step? What made you go and say, I can do this. I want to do this full time?
That's a great question. I guess I knew when I had at least, we waited about 12, 14 months of reoccurring income before we made that plunge. And we lived, so it's just my husband and I. We don't have any human children, but I do have 3 dogs and a cat. And we are pretty frugal. And we knew after this started getting going, I was like, okay, I think I can turn this into something. I never thought it would be, but once I started seeing income come in, I was like, okay, this could be something. So we did our best to live off of just one income, put all the YouTube income that came in away, lived very meagerly for quite a while. And when we saw it coming in consistently for over a year, that's when we said, okay, I'm going to step away from my full-time job and move into content creation full-time. And I've never looked back.
So now let's talk about monetization. You know, a
Sure.
channel your size, obviously, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, you know, I've told you off air, we don't have to talk about numbers specifically, but you know, I do like to give a little bit of a round number of kind of what a channel like yours might be making, and then you know, once you give us that estimate on what you might make it on in a month or however you want to frame it, I would
Mhm.
like for you to explain the ways that you're making that money and break it down to the different revenue sources from the channel and from your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to share because I know I was inspired listening to these, and for me, it's never been money driven. I didn't make money for the first few years. In fact, I lost money. But for me in my YouTube, I feel like I've been pretty lucky that my cost per view, or I
Mm-hmm.
think is what they call it, has been pretty decent. I probably now will make anywhere from 6,000 up to 10,000 a month just on YouTube AdSense alone,
Mm-hmm.
which I think for my channel, which I don't have necessarily explosive views, is pretty good and it's consistent. I mean, I think I've not made under 4 or 5 grand a month in years at this point, a
Can
couple of years or
I
more.
can I
Yeah.
interrupt you on that? Can you give us, you know, people could go to your channel now and see what your most recent videos as far as views are getting, but I know how this stuff works when you're a
Yep.
search-based channel. What
Yep.
are your average daily views? Like what, you know, how many
Oh,
thousands
I
of views are you getting daily? Come on, Rachel, you got to
I
know I mean,
know, I
if
know, I
somebody
should
were
know. Oh,
to
wait,
ask me
I
that, I
know.
could tell you exactly right
Hold
now.
on,
I'm like, I get
hold
like
on,
43,000 views a day average.
hold on,
Um,
hold on. Okay,
it's
I got my
important
YouTube Studio app.
it's important to know this because relating like, hey, listen, she is in a niche that probably pays very well.
Yes.
You know, I think if she was an animator and got the amount of views that she gets, she may not get the money she's getting. So do you have that number?
Yes. So, well, I have it for the last 28 days,
Yes.
and it's at 946,000 views.
Yes. So she's getting very similar views to what I get a day. She's probably averaging anywhere from say 30 to 40,000 views a day. Some days maybe a little lower, 27, 28,000, up to
Yeah.
35, 37,000 views a day. If it's consistent and you know it's consistent, then you can really count on that revenue. Obviously, if YouTube holds the key here, right? And they could change
Right.
it any time. But right now they haven't, and they don't seem to plan to in the future. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, Rachel. I just wanted to
No,
kind of
yeah.
relate those two numbers. And now you know if somebody asks you, you know what number to say.
There we
So,
go. Yeah, no,
but
that's a
go ahead.
good
Just
yeah.
go ahead and delve into the other revenue sources and kind of what you're doing and seeing.
Absolutely. So I have created I'm actually really excited about what I'm doing because what I did was I created a website, it's rachelfusaro.com, and
Mm-hmm.
on there features what I call my shop page. And these is all stemmed from people asking me every hundreds of messages and DMs a day asking what my favorite dog toy, dog chew, dog treat, dog food is, or favorite leash, harness, crate, etc. So I was creating these just little notepad lists and texting them to people or DMing them, and it got overwhelming. And somebody was like, "Why don't you just put it on a website?" So and I'm sharing this because I think everyone should be doing this, but I have a website, and on there I have my shop page. So it's a list of my products, and a lot of those products that I love, all of them are ones that I personally use, love, and respect, but a lot of them have affiliate links, which I always disclose. And then I have my dog food list page, which are brands that I reach out to the founders directly and vet out the food to the best that I can. And some of those have affiliate links as well. Nobody pays to be on any of these lists, but some of them will offer affiliate links. And so I share that because most of my revenue by far is from affiliate links, which I hope that gives encouragement to those of you that are. I appreciate you saying I'm a larger channel. I still consider myself a minion in many ways, but my audience is incredibly engaged. I was just at an event where I was with other creators, multiple millions of followers, and they were like, let's look at our different statistics and your conversions on this and that. And mine stay right up there with any of the big dogs, if you will.
Hmm.
So, anyways, affiliates are definitely the majority of my income, and it has been steady for years at this point.
Hmm.
And a lot of that is through YouTube, but a lot of it is, I do a lot of short form now, and that drives a lot of traffic to my website. Next would be brand deals, would probably be my second highest. I try not to do too many of those. I try to just authentically talk about what I love, and if there's an affiliate link, great. And then next would be, I guess, AdSense would be the other income source, but definitely affiliates would be the most.
So we have ad revenue from YouTube. We have affiliates, which you say would be kind of the number one
Yes.
affiliates, and then you have kind of brand deals, which is kind of the perfect kind of combination and suite of revenue that a lot of folks do. You also do live streams, and you also mentioned that you do short video formats. Can you explain kind of how the vertical video and YouTube Shorts have played a role in your kind of your channel's growth and where you think it's going in the future?
Yes. Short form for me is just top of funnel. I get a lot of traffic from there to my link in bio, which has my YouTube and my website and my email list, which I highly recommend for everyone. That's been
Hmm.
lucrative for me as well. Um, and so short form is kind of this high top of funnel. I actually really enjoy making it. So it's kind of a fun thing for me. And it's a way that I can also promote my YouTube videos where I can take clips from those, share them there. I can tease that it's going to come up. And then I also love using short form, particularly Instagram, for engaging with my community. Like my Instagram stories, I just did some 2 days ago and they were getting 9,000, 8,000, 10,000 views on my stories. And my Instagram's not that large, but I get so much engagement there that I can do polls. I can ask for video ideas. And like I said, I can promote videos because I think that's a really under valued or underspoken about step for YouTube is distributing those videos. But yeah, that's how I see short form. And then your other question was about live stream. So live stream is the only way. So a big part of my content is bringing in experts in the field because it's a way to kind of build my credibility. It's a way to elevate these people that don't have social media platforms but have something really interesting and helpful to say. A lot of them are veterinarians or behaviorists or scientists or professional dog trainers. So I bring them on live stream and ask them the questions that I get from my community so that they can kind of have this opportunity to ask the expert, if you will.
A big thing that I'm a proponent of right now currently is utilizing live streams as you are streaming them, but then repurposing them as videos that are on your channel that live on forever. Just so people know, on Rachel's her channel, she has live streams that have 40,000, 50,000, 260,000, 400,000 views, and they were streamed months ago. And these are ways that you can continue to make money off content that you recorded and streamed months ago. And being able to title and thumbnail your streams in the appropriate way to where they can perform long term, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to not only grow a channel, but to make money if you are partnered going forward. And so I love to see Rachel doing one of the things that I've been a big proponent of here recently for sure. And I think it's only going to get bigger and better. That's one thing a lot of people don't realize is that you're utilizing TikTok and Instagram to promote your YouTube channel, which then goes to your shop, which then goes to your YouTube channel back again, using it kind of like a big circle, and you're just trying to capture as many of these people as you possibly can. I want to ask you, Rachel, do you believe it's possible to grow a channel right now in 2023 as we're recording this?
Absolutely. I think that there's especially for genuine, authentic content creators that aren't just going into it just because they want to make a living out of it. Like we need more goodness in this world, and there's absolutely space for it. We see it all the time, so I absolutely think there's room for it.
If you could go back, what is something that you wish you would have known sooner? Like looking at, your channel and the growth and the success that it's had, what is something you wish you would have known sooner?
I wish I would have started collecting emails on my email list sooner. I wish I would have hired a little bit sooner
Hmm.
to help with the editing and to help with organizing the video topics because I think I could have gotten more strategic sooner. But at the end of the day, I don't have any regrets. I love where I'm at. I'm a living, breathing example of somebody who had no previous experience. And here I am, like, this is my full time, and it's not slowing down at all. So I feel grateful where I'm at.
I love that. I love the positivity. I love your mentality. That's just wonderful. And last question for you today, Rachel, is this. What is next for your channel, like the short term and long term? What are you looking to do to grow the channel and to continue staying top of mind for people who are looking or get new dogs and puppies like my family just got?
Yeah. I think continuing to find the problems that new puppy parents or existing pet parents have and figuring out actionable, realistic, and practical solutions for them, not just based on me. In the past, it's been a lot of me. I'm really delving more into collaborating with experts in the field. Like I said, veterinarians, scientists, behaviorists, professional dog trainers, and bringing them on to elevate the awesome work that they're doing because I think that's going to open up a whole new world of help. As you saw on those live streams, you brought up one that has 200,000 views. That was with a veterinarian. And the first month, it was just flat, low views. And then boom, it popped. And if you look at the comments on those, it's like it's everyone saying, this is so helpful. I'm learning so much. This is so great. I never would have known about this. So that's where I'm taking my channel and using it in a way to elevate others in a really meaningful way for the viewer.
I love that. And I would like to say and state that how Rachel has structured her channel. It's one of the recommended things that I always tell people on this podcast. You've got to be consistent. You've got to continue to get better every time you upload videos. But YouTube provides you with a platform to upload vertical, short form content, regular uploaded videos, as well as live streams. If you have a good combination of those three things and you're continuing to try new things, which Rachel obviously is open to doing, you will find success on YouTube. It's just a matter of time and you being able to grind and put the work in and the effort in and hit the upload button. So, Rachel, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been an absolute blast for me, and I'm so thankful for your time and congratulations on the success. And I know you're going to have even more continued success, and we'll talk to you next time.